Look at this. Look at True Techno Gamer bringing exclusive content that you will not find anywhere else on YouTube. Stay tuned. What's up, everyone? True Techno Gamer here. This is it, y'all. This is it. This is a really special one. I really wanted to get this out before the end of the year. I've had a lot going on, but I'm trying to squeeze in the time right now to bring this to you. If you see my channel and you follow my channel and you've seen my shorts, you already kind of know the deal. I've already teased it out there, but this is the one. This is my video on the brand new LG 97-inch G4 OLED. Easily the best TV I have ever owned. I've checked. I haven't seen anyone really talking about this thing on YouTube. So if you want to hear my thoughts on what could be the best TV on the market, keep it locked here. Guys, I present to you the 97-inch LG G4. Guys, needless to say, I'm super excited about this one. My journey to Endgame and what I've been trying to do with this space and this setup. This is that real icing cherry on top. Really the last puzzle piece, so to speak. So much of your time in a home theater environment obviously is spent with the display, right? So really, stepping up to something like this, I don't want to leave, right? I just wish I had the time. I really don't want to leave from being down here, right? So, where do I begin? To be clear, this TV is absolutely, probably more than anything else in my system and my setup, this is a YOLO purchase, right? This is a you only live once type of purchase. I didn't need this. I didn't need this. And I'm not going to sit here and try to justify to say that the price of this thing is worth it for, any and everybody looking for a TV or something like that, okay? I'm not going to do that. This is not a very sensible purchase in that regard. One thing that I need to point out, my initial impression of this TV actually was pretty bad. My initial impression of this TV was pretty bad. What do I mean, right? When I first got this thing unboxed and put it on, and again, I'm coming from a G2 OLED, right? Even on here on the home screen, I'm looking like, wow, colors just don't really look that bright. The overall brightness didn't look that bright. Now, of course, I went in, turned off energy saving mode and all that kind of stuff. I was messing with the various modes, saw filmmaker mode, saw vivid mode, and ISF expert bright and dark and whatever. But I'm just like, it doesn't look as bright at all, right? The overall punch, the overall clarity, it kind of had this fuzziness to it. I was scared to death. It was so disheartening, so disheartening. And I'm just like, what is going on? What happened? Again, I didn't get a chance to see this TV before. So I was like, oh my gosh, right? What's going on? I tried a bunch of picture setting things. I went in and tried all this stuff. I tried to give it a day just to kind of let it, warm up a bit. At the end of the day, something told me, man, you know what? Let me just try the pixel cleaning. Now, everyone says that you should not have to do pixel cleaning on a brand new TV. Shouldn't. On a brand new OLED, at least, right? But I was just like, I don't know, something seems off. The pixel, it's a brand new out-the-box TV, but something seems off. That was my last hope. And guys, I ran the pixel cleaning overnight, woke up the next morning, got the alert saying, pixel cleaning done. This was the next day. So this is the second day now that I had the TV. The first day was kind of light, right? The second day, I'm like, okay, did the pixel cleaning. When I tell you, did it make a difference? Yes, it made a difference. It made a grand of a difference, okay? The TV looked brand new. Clarity is there. The brightness is there now. The colors are popping now. It was amazing. I'm just telling you, you shouldn't have to do it, but it absolutely made a difference in my case. If you do see your OLED kind of looking washed out, it looked washed out, guys. Like the picture quality looked way worse than the G2 that I had. It looked worse than some of the mini LEDs that I have in my house, right? I was like, whoa, that pixel cleaning cleaned everything up. And it just never turned back ever since. That was, a month ago. Now, brightness, color, pop. I mean, this TV is man, I can't even put in words. And it's amazing to see how much better it looks than even the G2, right? I wouldn't expect it to be that much different than the G2 because the LG OLEDs, the W OLEDs, honestly haven't looked that much better. They've been kind of stagnant picture quality-wise for years, many years. The big jump was, of course, MLA with the G3 in 2023, but even that still had, some faults with the processing and, banding, gradients, near black, handling, overall, upscaling and smoothness didn't obviously match Sony. There still was a lot to talk about there. The G4 is basically LG saying, we heard you. We're paying attention. And they addressed a lot of that stuff for the TV enthusiasts especially. The processing on this thing is noticeably better than the G2. And images there's a realism to them and a level of detail, guys, that I can see with streaming, with YouTube, with SDR, with my cable box, with gaming. There's a level of detail here, guys, that, it just blows me away. And honestly, the TV, again, it's a month old, and I've seen the break-in period, if that's the thing. Week to week, the TV looks better and better. This is the best the TV has looked now a month in. I don't know exactly how long that will maintain, but it is looking better. And my gosh, it is impressive, man. Best TV, like I said, by far that I have owned. I mostly spent a lot of my time gaming on this TV because the purchase of this TV also coincided with getting the PS5 Pro. And I'm probably going to have a dedicated video to just talk more about that and that combination because I don't want to step away, put the controller down and step away from this room and this space. I've just had some of the most wonderful gaming experiences in the past month with the combination of those two things down here. It's unbelievable. And of course, with the sound and the system, it's unbelievable, man. So now, the other thing I need to touch on before we kind of get into just watching and stuff, the lack of MLA. There's a lot of people out there that would swear that, first of all, the LG's WRGB OLED is kind of a washed out technology. The only way that is relevant is with this MLA technology, which again is basically to make the TV brighter. It's a technology to make the TV more efficient so that light gets more light gets to your eyes than is lost in space. That's something that I contemplated on. Again, why would you spend this kind of money, spend a lot more money than what you can get for the smaller G4 sizes even that all have this MLA technology, to be losing this kind of key feature, right, that everyone says is kind of the thing that really makes the LG, OLED sing, so to speak, right? That's really what the question was, what it came down to. And I contemplated this a lot. Guys, I was on all kinds of forums. I talked to so many people. I talked to boutique retailers. I went to the trade shows. Like I said, I talked to people even back at CES. I have direct emails with like the product managers, at LG and at different retailers that were getting the TV. I talked to a lot of people. I was on all kinds of forums asking this question, really trying to get to the bottom of this thing. And then finally, when the TV started showing up at CEDIA, and showing up in some retailers. I was talking to the people like, what is your impression? What did you see? What did you think? How did it look? Blah, 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 right? Even when I couldn't see it. And my conclusion was, MLA is not a necessary thing. It's not. You can go and check out Brian Tech Therapies. Shout out to Brian. If you ever happen to see this, awesome, man. I follow you. I've been watching you. You're kind of one of my inspirations for even thinking about doing this kind of TV stuff. But Brian does a great job of just, he has access to a lot of TVs either in his home or through Value Electronics. I've talked to the folks. I've talked to Robert and Wendy at Value Electronics directly. I've emailed them. I've called them talking about the TV all year long. The TV kept getting delayed, kept getting pushed back. And I was on it. When is it coming out? When does it happen? I wanted to wait to see it. And Brian was, I think, the very first person to actually show this TV. He went to Value Electronics, filmed it, and showed it there on camera. And his impressions were largely the same as mine, which is to say that MLA wasn't really necessary. The TV looked amazing without it, and it still looked plenty bright for a TV of this size. Now, that's my general impressions. Now, again, I have a light control room down here. I would not recommend this TV if you're trying to put it in a light-soaked, huge window, lots of ambient light, lots of sunlight coming in the room. For the price and for the size, there's a lot of better options you can get for way cheaper. You can get a 98-inch mini LED that gets way brighter technically, especially for SDR, full screen brightness. That's where LEDs are going to always shine over OLED. That can do that and, watch sports, watch regular TV, cable, stream some movies. For the price, you can do a lot better than this. I'm not going to lie about that, okay? But in my case, when I can control the lighting and get it all the way down, this TV is plenty bright. And hopefully you guys will see that soon when I show some of the footage. That was everyone's assessment. I talked to the folks at Gramophone. If you go check out YouTube, I think the second video that ever showed this TV on YouTube was Gramophone checking this TV out, doing an interview at Cedia. And I talked to the guy that did the interview at Cedia directly, okay? And I'm like, what did it look like? Did it not look bright? How did it, the Cedia, the TV was right side by side with the MLA versions of G4 at all the other sizes. So I'm like, well, you've seen it right there. And, he said the same thing. Huge showroom, lots of light, lots of ambient light. The TV was still looking super sharp, super bright, side by side with the other G4s. Yes, it was a little bit less bright, but it's not something you probably would even notice or without seeing them side by side. The TV is still brighter than that 97-inch G2 that I mentioned. I don't have the full test equipment, but I can tell you guys that everything that I have seen, all the kind of things I can kind of test, indicate that this TV is clearly able to hit over 1,000 nits of peak brightness in its filmmaker mode, in its like calibrated modes, and in game mode, by the way, as well. So that's awesome. I can't give you an exact number. I'm sure that'll come out. But this TV, which again, my G2 could not do. My G2 was closer to the 900-ish nit range. This is clearly over 1,000. Somewhere, it seems to be somewhere between 1,000 and like 1,100, 1,150 peak brightness. The MLA G4s can get you up to like, 1,400, 1,500 for sure. That's not something, by the way, I know that sounds like a lot, but if you actually just see it, it's not something that's like going to be a grand difference. The main thing here with the G4 is the new processing that the A11 processor has and just the algorithms that LG has already bought here. That's the thing that sets the TV apart. And it's how the brightness is applied to the scene, right? Putting up a white box and some test content, the G4 is not the brightest TV by that measure. But if you follow TVs that follow the G4 reviews, you would have heard a lot of reviewers already say that the G4 is one of the brightest TVs on the market, period, of any type, even compared to some LEDs that on paper are twice as bright. And it's because in real world content, the way that LG applies the processing, that brightness comes across and really, really presents itself extremely well, especially with the MLA versions. The same is true here. It's just that the absolute peak, the absolute numbers are obviously lower without the MLA, right? But no one is going to look at the TV and just be like, man, I just wish it had more brightness, right? Like, yes, there are TVs out there that do have more brightness, but when you take it all in totality, the OLED absolute blacks, the colors, all of that, you're getting those bright highlights. This is still a G4. It still has brightness booster max technology from LG, which is a combination of the hardware layers as well as software algorithms as well. So this has all the software stuff in there. It's just missing the hardware AMOLED layer. Guys, this TV is the real deal. AMOLED or not, I would not let that stop you. Everyone said that. Everyone's like, okay, you're talking about getting a 97-inch OLED, a G4 OLED. You're going to talk about a few nits of brightness that, you might not even notice, honestly. And more than one retailer actually said this. If this TV had AMOLED, it probably would be too bright. Again, a TV of this size, especially in a room like mine, when you turn the lights off, you don't want to be squinting your eyes and have eye-searing brightness, right? Like, that's obviously not realistic. That's not accurate. You don't get that even when you go to the movie theaters, right? So if you going for accuracy, going for filmmaker modes and whatever, you're not going to get that brightness. The extra brightness that AMOLED can offer, if you put this thing in a filmmaker mode or get it calibrated, it's going to kind of get rid of all of that anyway. It's going to negate a lot of that extra brightness, and you're going to be settling in on a much more accurate, much more realistic picture. So having AMOLED, some people was like, you're probably going to need to turn it down. You're going to have to go in and turn your brightness down. Right now, I have my brightness at 100 still, and I'm able to handle that. And it's bright, but not overly bright. Not like, right? Eye-searingly bright. But it's bright. But, they were like, yeah, you're probably going to have to turn that thing down. There are people that said that about the G4 smaller size, by the way. Look around, go on YouTube, go Google it. You'll see plenty of people have had the G4 and kind of said, oh, this TV is bright to the point where it can be too bright. I've had to turn things down, right, to watch certain content, whatever like that. That's not what I'm looking for, right? That's the Hisense UX, to get that eye-searingly brightness. If I really cared about that, that would have been a TV I would have got. This is a great combination of just accuracy and realistic images that really can take your breath away. And that's what this TV does. This size, as you probably can even see this, this is like the perfect size for this space for me, right? A 110 can technically fit on this wall, but you kind of see some of the constraints. Now, if I got the 110 or 115, again, it technically can fit, but I would have to make some changes to my overall setup here. There's my seating, the speaker location, right? A 110 and a 115 width-wise would start getting out here, covering the light thing here. As you see, I have my little light switch here. The speaker location is pretty much at the edge of this walkway here that leads to an open playroom right now, and the bathroom area down here. It's an active walkway. I don't want to put my speaker obviously in the middle of that walkway. My kids a lot of times be running and playing, especially when there's company over here, whatever like that. I don't want to do that. This is kind of as far as I want to go. It's right lined up with the edge of that wall there. You probably can see. A 110, the speaker would start being able to block that TV. As it is right now, as you can see this, okay, I have an outlet behind the TV to power the TV. That outlet, okay, is kind of right in the center of this wall. In order for me to get the TV mounted, get a bracket over that outlet, this is pretty much as low as the TV can go. Which, as you can, if I'm sitting in my seat, literally, guys, it is absolutely right above the top of my center speaker here. Right? Like, I don't have another inch before the center speaker is blocking the bottom of the TV. Okay? If I got a 110, where that wall is, where that power outlet is now, where the bracket will be centered to it, the bottom of the TV will clearly go way down here, meaning I will have to bring up the bracket on the TV, which I can do, but again, there's a power outlet. So now, do I have to move the power outlet? That's just more work. Or I need to take the bracket and put it above the power outlet, which now that's like 8 inches or so. That puts the TV, or especially a bigger TV, literally at the ceiling. This is not ergonomically, this is not a good look, right? For a lot of reasons. And then again, sitting down from the location of my seating area in this space, which again is perfectly centered to allow walk room on both sides, which is possible coming from the stairs, coming from this way, walking to the back room, to the bathroom area. If I'm sitting at the edges with a 110, again, these speakers would absolutely, on both sides, would absolutely start blocking the edges of the TV, okay? So ergonomically, aesthetically, physically, This fits perfect right above my center speaker, right with the center location of where the bracket and my power outlet is. And when I'm sitting at the edges right now where it is, I can still see just like 2-3 inches off of the edge of the speaker. I can clearly still see that perfectly. Sitting in that back row, my bar row right there, you can still see that everything perfectly. So, and you know, I'm sitting about 10 to 11 inches when I sit up in these chairs. When I game, I tend to sit up in them. I'm closer to 10 feet. When I sit all the way back, when we're sitting all the way back, we're about 11 feet from this TV. You can do the math. There's all kinds of charts that show the optimal distances, whatever. That gives me roughly that 40-degree field of view that THX says is like the recommended immersive viewing experience, right, for a home cinema. That gives me that, right? When I'm sitting 10 feet, I'm right at the 40. 11 feet is kind of like 38, 39, but it's still pretty close. Now, with that 83-inch TV I had before, by the way, right, that was, you know, when I was sitting back, I actually moved my chairs up a little bit too when I got this, just to give me a little bit more of that immersive feeling. But where the chairs were before, sitting all the way back, it was actually closer to like 12 and a half feet. With an 83-inch, I'm looking at less than 30 degrees field of view, right? So coming from that to now basically getting closer to 40, it's a world of difference. It's just in terms of the immersion you can get, especially with the lights out and everything like that. So, you know, there was a moment where I really was thinking, again, if I'm going to invest this kind of money, is 97 big enough? Right? Is that even enough? Which is just crazy to think. And again, it's a perfect size for this space, for this room. It's not overwhelming at all. It never has been. My wife was kind of nervous. She was like, wow, that's big. But when you're sitting here watching it, again, it's not straining. It's not exhausting. It's not overwhelming at all. So that's a great, great thing. So that works for me, for sure. All right. At the end of the day, I just wanted to get OLED at this size. Right, I just really, really wanted to get an OLED TV and get that OLED quality at this size for this space while I'm still here, which again is the perfect size for my space here. So all of that said, man, you know, this TV is just magic. All right, guys, so yeah, we got to get into it, right? What else is there to do than just show off the beauty, extreme beauty of this TV? Now, of course, guys, YouTube is not going to convey the true splendor of this TV, okay? You are not going to see what it really looks like in front of me right now. I don't have advanced capture equipment and cameras. I'm not doing all of that. I'm really just showing off-screen footage right now. And I wasn't even going to do that because I'm like, again, it's not going to really convey it properly and show it off properly. But I'm doing it because this like I've checked. As of this recording on YouTube, there is no other videos of this TV in particular from actual owners, right? Showing off this TV and any kind of footage on it and whatever. Believe me, I was looking for this content. I was hungry for it. And there's nothing out there like there. So this could be, I think, among the only footage that you will see on YouTube of this TV in action, right? So I thought it would be really cool and useful to actually share this with you guys. So again, take it for a grain of salt. Shout out to this channel. This is one of my favorite channels to get really high quality HDR content on YouTube. It's called AK Clarity. So shout out to the channel. I'm not sure who the owners are or anything, but it's amazing looking content. They have a lot of content on there, and it just looks absolutely mind-boggling on this TV in terms of just the detail and clarity. So you might not see all of that, but please enjoy what you do see. I mean, guys, again, I know you're not seeing it. I can't tell you what this looks like in person. And this is YouTube, so compression is there. Video, compression is a thing. The clarity and detail, the hair right now, the fur right now, the color purity. I mean, even the motion is definitely not coming across. I know probably on the YouTube, but guys, this looks mind-boggling. I mean, it just looks outstanding. I can't even put it in words. And it's crazy because, like I said, my first experience with this TV, I was just like, I made a mistake. I was just like, I don't know what's going on. But the colors look bad, the detail looked bad, the brightness was just lacking, and I was scared to death. You know, I can't even put it into words. But thank God that pixel cleaning worked and it did its magic. And the result here, I mean, this is the best image I have seen all year. I've seen the 8K Samsung LEDs. I've seen, again, all of the mini LEDs, TCL, Hisense. I've seen, obviously, Sony A95L. I've seen the Bravia 9. I've seen the Bravia 8. I've seen the Bravia 7. And they're all great TVs in their own respective rights. And again, you got to think about price to performance ratio and price for size and all of that good stuff. All of the sensible stuff. This TV is a no sense purchase, right? But it looks amazing. The HDR footage, look at this white. Again, it's not coming across here, but don't tell me about brightness and lack of MLA. And again, it doesn't look overwhelmingly bright though, right? It's not overwhelming, but it's just bright enough to be realistic, bright where it needs to be. Okay, now right now, by the way, this isn't filmmaker mode. This is actually the HDR cinema home mode, which for me is like a nice balance of getting that punchiness, getting the brights, while still being pretty accurate. This isn't vivid or even just standard, right? It's a little bit more accurate than that. The color is, you know, more on the warm, you know, it's the warm tones. With generally speaking, like warm 2 is pretty much like accurate for these LGs, so it's still on warm 2. The brightness is punched up a bit, but again, it's not vivid level, so it's cinema home HDR. Filmmaker mode looks pretty much the same. I've seen it. It just is slightly less bright, you know, but to get that punchiness, for me, I thought this was a good balance. And guys, I have been up to the screen. I'm showing you guys pretty much as close as I can get to showing full screen for you guys here. So this is the full 97-inch glory right now that you're seeing right up close. And yeah, there's no pixelation. Again, this is YouTube. I'm not even seeing a whole lot of compression artifacts. The clarity is the biggest thing that I notice over my G2. I'm not gonna lie, which is the processing thing, right? It's just the level of clarity and detail here. That's what takes us to the next level. And again, combined with the additional size, so to see the picture blown up, which usually bigger size and blown up picture, usually is going to result in worse quality, right? Usually that's going to result in you seeing more of the artifacts and more of the noise and more of the pixelization and stuff like that. But you get the larger size here with just a level of detail that's just incredible. And again, the colors, the brightness, it's all there. So I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna go and show off like movies for copyright reasons, obviously. And like I said, I probably will do a whole nother video just focus on gaming, because that's a whole nother thing altogether. It really is. But I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what this looks like. And just seeing the screen, if you don't believe me, you know, let's take a step back here so you can see, you know, TV is on the wall here. Kind of can see the frame now and see my acoustic panels on the side. So I'm just doing that to kind of give you some context, some perspective of what it really looks like in my room. I have the lights turned down. They're not all the way off. They're kind of dim down here. But guys, look, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful image. And again, it's hard to justify and say, oh my gosh, you know, this is worth X amount of dollars right now. This TV MSRP, when it was first announced and coming out this year, this MSRP was $25,000. Now, if you know me, you should probably already know I did not pay $25,000 for it, right? That was part of my debate. Like, gosh, could I even think about justifying that? I mean, could I even dream to afford that, right? Fortunately, I didn't have to. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much I paid. You know, I just don't like doing that and putting everything out there. But needless to say, I saved quite a bit. Now, LG, to their credit, actually, by the time this TV was actually shipping around October timeframe, they had pretty much reduced the price. They called it a sale, implying that it might go back up. But they reduced the price already to $20,000. So that's still crazy, I know, but that's $5,000 off. That's like the sale price off the bat. All the official retailers are already matching that. And needless to say, I got it for even less than that. I'm just saying. So, like quite a bit less than that. So that was another reason for me where I was kind of like, I never expected the price that I paid for this TV. I wouldn't have expected that price to even get to that point in 2 years. You know, given the fact that, again, the G2 97 didn't get down, I paid less for this TV than the G2 right now is selling 2 years later. I'll put it like that. Okay. So it was kind of a like, wow. Like, again, if I'm ever going to have a chance to get this TV, and at the time when I finally made the decision to purchase it, most retailers were telling me, oh yeah, we can get it, but it might be early 2025. It's like 2 months out. It's back ordered. You know, it's such a special order item that we have to, all of this stuff. You know, not that I was in a super rush to get it, but I'm just like, okay, so I got to wait. And a lot of cases they didn't have the price was still higher. I wound up getting an offer to get it for a cheaper sale price and basically have it in my house within a week from the time I purchased. You know, it just, everything was lining up for me where it was like, man, I think I just need to go ahead, right? I just need to go ahead and do this thing, man. And that's what I did. And again, it's a YOLO purchase. You only live once. And I just felt like I just needed to experience OLED quality at this size. And again, LG quality. You know, I love LG OLEDs. I really do. QD OLEDs are great as well. Don't get me wrong. They have their, strengths. They have some weaknesses. The biggest weakness for them is that they top out at 77 inches. And even next year, we still don't know for sure, although it seems likely, but they may have an 83-inch version of QD OLED. That's great. But it's not a 97. It's not a 97, guys. And like Brian said, like I said, shout out to Brian for doing that initial coverage of Value Electronics, but I would not take a 77-inch QD OLED over a 97-inch WOLED that from LG. No, there's no world where that makes sense, right? And again, I wouldn't take a 98-inch mini LED over this image quality, over this picture for OLED. The larger mini LEDs, 110, 115, they're compelling. I considered them, don't get me wrong. But again, at the end of the day, I feel like they're going to be there, right? Mini LED isn't going anywhere. And the large size mini LEDs, 4, 5 years, 6 years from now, when I'm kind of through with this TV, or better yet, this TV is through with me, because these TVs aren't built to last as long as they used to. But around that time, there's going to be there's going to be a plethora of mini LEDs, really like high quality mini LEDs, maybe even micro LEDs, who knows, of really large sizes that are probably going to be less than what I pay for this TV even now, right? So 115, 120, 125 inch, LED, mini LED, micro LEDs, or something of that nature will be around at that point from Sony, from Samsung, from TCL, from Hisense, and everybody. I mean, even LG probably, right? I feel like that will be there, right? That Hisense and TCL, those are first generation brand new TVs of that size from them, right? The reliability factor, the newness factor, it just felt like it was a little bit more risky. LG been doing these OLEDs, and this is their second generation OLED of this size. I just felt a little bit more confident with them, right? Reliability wise. But yeah, I feel like I'll have a chance to get an even bigger screen than this for a mini LED if it comes down to it. And again, by that 4 or 5 years from now, the quality will even be better. You got to think that they're going to be equal, if not exceeding OLED today, that kind of thing. And again, it may not be the case that LG even makes more 97-inch OLEDs. There's a lot going on behind the scenes with LG and LG Display in particular. They're bleeding money. They're firing their lead content officer, head content officer. They're cleaning up shop. They're trying to restructure to try to, just do better business. This is not a money-making business, making a 97-inch OLED. That's why it's so expensive. And I know that, right? Who knows what's to come for LG Display in the next 2 to 3 years even, right? I would not be surprised if we don't see another 97-inch OLED of this type, at least, of this type. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah, in a lot of ways, it just felt like things were lining up. Everything lined up for me. Again, perfect size for my space, the availability, the price that I was able to get for it. It just lined up, and I just had to go for it. So I am extremely happy. I love this picture. Gaming on it is sublime. Movie watching is the next level. And yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of it with you guys. So, what did you guys think? Again, you can't get that impact on YouTube, but that looked amazing. I'm looking at it in person. I mean, I'm drooling at it. It looked amazing. So hopefully you got a little bit of that on YouTube, and I'm just happy to be able to share some of the content with you. This TV is amazing, guys. What can I say? Again, I'm not going to sit here and try to justify a $20,000 sale price and a $25,000 MSRP. Like I said, I didn't pay quite that much for it, but I still paid a lot. And, is it worth it? I've always said that TVs are one of those things that's just harder to justify because they never really get to an end game because they change so much. There's already talk about HDMI 2.2 being unveiled in a few weeks at CES, which I will be at. That's going to potentially change things if you want to get higher bandwidth or higher resolutions, and then you need to upgrade your processor and all this stuff that connects to it to be able to have HDMI 2.2 certification to be able to take advantage of all of that stuff. So we're not going to see that right away, like next year probably, but pretty soon here we're going to start seeing TVs with HDMI 2.2, and if you only have 2.1, you're going to be missing out on some of that stuff, right? It changes a lot. Sizes, prices, again, display technology, QD OLED and MLA were not a thing 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago, there was no such thing as QD OLED. There was no such thing as MLA OLED. And, here we are now. Those are the two best quality panels that you can get on the market today, right? So hard to justify. Like I said, absolutely YOLO. You only live once. If you can, guys, I would encourage you to do whatever it is you want to do. Take a splurge sometime. The question is it going to be worth it? Are you going to get enjoyment out of it? And for me, for what I would like to do when I'm down in this space, I'm getting my money's worth. I'm going to abuse this TV, right? And I'm just going to try to enjoy it the best I can for as long as I can. I think it warrants that. The lack of MLA, I don't mind or care, honestly. The TV still looks great. It still looks bright enough for me in this space. I wouldn't let that be a blocker. If you feel like, oh my gosh, it's missing MLA and it's so much more expensive, that doesn't make sense, you're not wrong, right? You're not wrong. But it wasn't a blocker for me, and everyone I talked to would say the same thing. At the end of the day, again, I just really wanted to say that I experienced this OLED, LG OLED at this size. I think that sometimes it's just worth getting that experience. This TV is one of a kind, guys. Like literally, this is the only TV of its kind. This is the only 100-inch class TV that's an OLED. Literally, right? There's nothing else out there like it. That alone, you can argue justifies its cost. You're not going to get a projector that looks anything close to this until you're spending way more, believe it or not, than this TV costs. You're looking at projectors that are probably in the $30,000 plus range before you start getting to a level of just contrast, brightness, overall image quality and clarity and processing that can match this, right? And, the TCL and Hisense mini LEDs are great. And I can make an argument that if I had a 110 Hisense UX down here, that it might be more of a wow factor for people that don't follow TVs, aren't TV enthusiasts. They just see large screen and I turn that thing on and it's throwing out, 1,000 nits, I believe, of full screen brightness, which again, an OLED would never be able to match. And they would just be like, wow, holy crap, right? If that's your thing, absolutely go for it. Again, it's also really expensive, but if that's your thing, you're going to get that wow factor for sure with something like that. For me, I wanted something that was a little bit more balanced, a little bit more on the realistic side, and the accuracy was still there. And go check it out. The Hisense, the reviews and the measurements have already shown that it is not accurate, especially in the high brightness modes and the high brightness settings. So the brightness goes up, accuracy goes down, color accuracy, and realism go down. You get that wow factor, but it's not the most realistic. It's not the most accurate picture. So trade-offs there. What's important to you? That's up to you. But for me, like I said, this is the best of all worlds. Accuracy, realism, contrast, brightness, motion smoothness and motion clarity, gaming, features, size. That's what it's about for me, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it and presenting this to you guys. Like I said, I'll talk more about gaming and just more of my experience with the TV going forward. If you continue to like and subscribe, help me grow this channel. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to hear. Have any questions on this thing, hit me up in the comments. You know I will be there to respond. But that's all for now. True Technical Gamer, signing off.